Hey family, what's up? CJ Jamie here, Sifu Fu here, Sifu Larry is somewhere. I think he's about to come visit y'all.
I'm here. I have arrived.
And we also have our brother Hersey in with us today.
So ask lots of questions to get him hurt.
You didn't hear from me. You heard it from a Sifu. So you know what you guys have to do. It's your duty. No, just playing. Poor Hersey.
Hersey's like, no.
Welcome to our Friday Q&A. We're going to answer, obviously, questions about martial arts, kung fu, health, wellness, fitness, and anything else within reason. So if you're new here, let us know where you're coming in from. If you're not new here, still say hello and let us know how you're doing. And if you have any questions, obviously put them in the comment section. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe if you're on YouTube and hit that little bell notification so you get any of our updates, any of our videos that we put out. Also, if you're on Facebook, make sure that you like the page and make sure that you put where you see our post first so you actually find us in your feed, because YouTube and Facebook like to make things super complicated for people to find. And also make sure to like the video and share it on so that way you can help other people get access to this awesome, amazing content that we're about to go over. So a quick update, I'm going to send out one more email today seeing how many more people are available for our next seminar. So keep an eye out for that, and that way I can get a tally. We're going to have a seminar regardless. It's just a matter of, are we doing a seminar at the hotel, or are we going to do a more smaller, intimate one, probably like at an Airbnb where we all like hang out together and get to stay together for the whole entire seminar. So it's really just a matter of how many people we get, because the hotel is way more expensive. So therefore we need more people to be able to hold it at a hotel. So it will still be in the Washington, D.C. area is what we're looking at, and still around the same time frame that I gave, which was the last weekend of September of this year. So that's what we're looking into. And it might be that if it comes down to it, maybe we can do more seminars throughout the year by doing this more smaller, intimate ones and have them more spread out. And maybe that will help more of you get to a seminar so you can feel the live energy. So while I'm checking to see if we have any questions, can you explain a little bit about the benefits of coming to a seminar?
One, you're going to feel live energy. I mean, there's no better experience than feeling energy. You know, like the best thing is for your body to experience it, not just see it, not just hear it, but to actually feel it. And once you get that basis of feeling, you have a basis which you can grow now. You can have a basis which you can develop from. So besides that, you're going to get detailed training. You're going to be able to really grow because, like I said, the hands-on experience is the best way to learn, you know, so you're just going to get that. And you're going to meet really great people, not just us as the staff, but other people who are from Enter Shaolin, one another. We all have a common thing that we all love martial arts, and one reason for another, we take it, whether we do it for self-confidence, health, for combat, for a little bit of everything. Whatever personal reason, we all are gathered together, and we get to share and bond, and you know, that's one of the greatest things about being alive, you know, that we can bond and share and grow from each other and benefit with each other and for each other. So it's a great time to be together, and I love to teach. You know, when you see me, you'll see that I really get into teaching. I'm very, very, that's my calling, that's who I am, and that's what I was made to do. I was born to do it, and so I love to teach, and I love to meet people. I'm very personable, so you know, I love to meet you guys, especially since we hear of you guys online. I'd love to see a face with that name, and even get to know the personality. So that way, when we see you, we're like, oh yeah, hey, how you doing? Like it becomes more personal. You know, it's like I heard I had a cousin down south. I've never met him, but when I meet him, it's like, hey, we're family, so we get along. So it's the same thing. We're family. We're here to get along, and we'd love to meet you. You know, we'd love to train with you. And get you better. You know, that's why you're going to come, right? Besides just meeting, but to get better. That's the whole purpose of you going, is to get better at what you're doing. And so we want to help you out with that. And we want to love to meet you, like I said, and it's just know our family better, not just know digitally. We're not digital family. We'd like to know you personally as well.
Yep, absolutely. And so Temba says seminars could be held at parks or gyms, maybe cheaper. Just thought. I have been looking at different gyms and stuff like that, but most of them require like a huge fee for like insurance and things like that. So that's why we haven't done any there. And then parks, if we could find a park that had a way, if the weather was not so great or really cold or really rainy or whatever, for us to still be sheltered, that would be a good idea. I haven't personally found any parks like that in our local area, but I haven't looked in the Washington, D.C. area yet for that. So that could be a possibility, but then again, then we're kind of, at the mercy of Mother Nature a little bit. So that would be probably my biggest thing I wouldn't want to do necessarily at a park.
I'm not really sure, depending on where you are, you might have to have a permit to teach out in the park or something.
Right,
like
there could be all kinds of different things. So generally the hotels are just the easiest because they make it super simple, but they cost the most. So therefore,
it's private, it's controlled, all that because of the benefit.
Yeah. So, but if we can do it like at an Airbnb, it's still really cool because then you guys don't have to pay for a hotel room because you already have a stay, and we can still have that inside and outside function.
And we can play Farkle. Farkle is a dice game.
I was gonna say I have no idea what that is.
It's a very, very fun dice game. Very, very fun.
I was like, I don't know what that is, but you can play it, sure, absolutely. I will probably be doing something else at that time. All right, so James says good morning. Paul says good morning. Ed says good morning. Nikos, good morning. Marlon, good morning. Good to see you on Orbix. Hey, what's up? And let's see who is on Facebook. If I can get the feed to come up, it's acting a little
Hello,
strange
everyone.
for me.
Good morning. If you have any questions, please let us know because we would love to answer your questions. I want people to ask me a question that can stump me. I haven't been stumped by people's questions, so I want you to give me a question that stump me, and not something like, "What's the numerical number for a pie down to the 1,000th place?" Like, I don't know stuff like that. I'm not talking about terms of martial arts.
Hey Dad, how's it going? Hey Rick, how's it going? You guys are super quiet this morning. So let me see, I'm going to double check and make sure there's not any questions in the inbox and make sure that we don't have anything that we missed. I know we covered everyone last week and got you guys all caught up. All right, I don't see any there. So, okay, well, while we're waiting for some questions to come in, do you have any training tips you can give them?
Well, if you guys are like starting to train, what I do a lot is make sure that you get proper posture, and that's something you should do all the time. So one of the best things I would tell you to do is take a deep breath, get your posture upright, and make sure you hold that posture right. So when you exhale, keep that posture in mind because we do have a natural tendency to slouch a little. So get your body upright, feel that natural position, and once your body gets used to it, you will stay that way because it's actually easier for your body to move and breathe. And as you start to slouch, you're like, wow, why does it feels harder for me to breathe? It's because you're slouching. So once you get your posture properly like this, and then you start to breathe on a natural basis that way, you'll find that the other way actually takes more stress and more pressure. And I was actually talking to a lot of people on in Uber and everything, and I let them know, like, hey, one of the biggest things, because I'm talking about their health and wellness, like, one of the biggest things that we do that helps people in health is knowing how to keep proper posture. And know how to move in posture, because when your posture is wrong, it takes more energy to do so, and your body's always fighting to find natural balance, and that's taking away your body to basically heal properly, to basically conserve energy, to flow properly, and all that stuff. And I've talked to a woman who's like has health issues, and I said, and I could see when she walked in the car, she had she was slouching, and I said, you need to correct your posture. That's going to help you a lot, and getting the mind in tune with the body, because when your mind is properly set, your body naturally aligns right too. And not a lot of people know this, but the brain is like a muscle. It needs stimulus in order to stay function, stay alert, stay alive. And how it gets that is through the physical body movement. And I was just teaching Tai Chi students today, and I said the reason why we have these rules and create this, because it stimulates the brain when we move a certain way, and it allows us to feel. And when we feel, it stimulates the brain feels that, and it gets the body more aligned, and it gets stronger that way. So it kind of goes hand in hand, helps you with all that you do. So one of the things that we're going to be focusing on our site is learn how to do health and wellness to correct the body. So if you ever find that you're tired by the end of the day, you don't sleep well at night, if you find that you're just more grumpy, grouchy, and stuff like that, we're going to be doing a series in videos for you guys to properly align your body again. And I'm focusing on getting that to the mindset, to get the body set, to get the connection. So mind, body, and spirit, right? We want to get that together, because the spirit is like your energy. It's how you manifest your essence, you know. So when you get your mind and your body right, the spirit aligns itself right too. So if you have improper posture, it's going to tire you out. Your mind's not as sharp because, again, you need proper stimulus for the brain. And the best way to do it is get proper posture, and then it stimulates the brain the best, and then your body can feel it, and then when it feels it, it helps the brain feels it, it wants to break. So it's a symbiotic relationship. But when one goes off, it can ruin the other. And so we're going to work on these series to help you guys get your health back up better and everything like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we had a question if we were live. Yes, these are live. Like, this is literally happening in real time, unless you're watching the replay later on. But if you're on with us right now, it's 11:11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Friday, then it is very much live. But if you watch the replay, obviously, then it's not live. So if you have any questions, let us know. Let's see. Orbic says, what about kias and movement and relationship pivoting and whilst moving about?
Quads?
Well, I thought maybe he meant kias, but maybe
Like the yelling kia and karate?
maybe I wasn't sure because I've never seen it spelled that way, but I've never heard of a kuwa, so that's why I thought maybe.
Ask him to explain what
I guess,
or
yes.
maybe he's misspelled it.
Are you talking about kias, Orbix? Let us know. Yeah, he said kia. Yep, or she. I'm not sure if it's she or he.
Oh, the reason why in karate they kia. There's a few reasons. They say it because it draws a fear in the person when you're yelling. Wah! You know, it can strike fear. That's psychological. I don't. That varies. Some people aren't afraid of that, so that doesn't mean anything. You know, but the purpose of really pushing that is to push air. We talked about last week. Air creates pressure. When we put the pressure in our body, we're pushing the air down, and that's going to create pressure to push back out. Is what gives us more power. So the reason why they really yell kia is to get that power, really. But the problem with screaming kia is it's wasted energy into the screaming when you can put that into the strike. So really, you shouldn't be kia because you're putting more than you need. All you need is like a short breath, like if you're coughing or sneezing. That's all you need. Like, you know. That's why you hear in kung fu movies all day. That's the kind of breath that you want. Not kia! Like that's too long, too loud, too much strain into the voice box and the neck, rather than getting that pressure into the point of contact in which you hit. So kia is fine, but it's overdone. You need to focus it to a single point in which you make contact to the opponent. So whether it be my palm, my fingers, my elbows, my neck, my hip, my shoulder, whatever. Kia is just overkill. So you want to move more like if you're gonna kia, it's like kia, more like that, kia! Like that, and that's done in competition. You know, they want to show the intensity, the focus, and all that, and that's fine. In the competition, it's great. It does for that reason. But in combat, it's too much. You cannot be putting that much stress into the body that way. You should explode like, ha. You know, even boxing, they say, that's why you hear them go with their breath. That's really how you want to breathe, not, yeah. It's just trying to, but like I said, in competition for that purpose of saying the intensity, immensity, the focus on, that's fine for the competition. And that's where it's become that way for the competition.
Right on, right on.
In combat,
So let's see here. We got that. Taken care of. Tempa says, Sifu, what's the reason for holding energy in one's hand when doing Tai Chi?
Because the idea is to get the energy from the ground, and you got to direct it somewhere. And what controls energy and direction? Your wrist. So you want to get that energy in the wrist. Because in the Tai Chi, you're always changing postures from one position to another, and you're changing direction. Well, the 2 points that actually allows you to control energy in terms of direction for the hands is your wrist, and then for the body, it's the waist. So, but in the end, we want to manifest out in the hands. So, for combat purpose, you need to get it out your wrist, okay? For like a competition for push hands, you use your wrist to steer energy. You don't use your waist. You use your waist to turn it, but you don't use it to steer it. The steering comes from the wrist. The waist aids the wrist. The wrist doesn't aid the waist. That's why you can move your wrist and not necessarily move your waist, but whenever you move your waist, you must move your wrist. You cannot move your waist and not move the wrist. You'll fail when you going against someone who's very, very powerful or very, very good. You can move your wrist without your waist, but you cannot move your waist without your wrist. In the Tai Chi form, you can see it all the time. Every posture I make, when I turn my waist, you'll see a wrist action. But there are movements where I don't turn my waist at all, but I can turn my wrist. Like Stoic Spike Swing is a great example. I can go like this and I turn here, but my body doesn't move, but my wrist does. But every time I'm moving my hips, step up, play guitar, lift hands, diagonal fly, there is a wrist action, okay? So whenever there's a wrist movement, waist is voluntary. Whenever there's waist movement, wrist is mandatory. So you take it to the wrist for the control and get the energy from the ground out to the hands in the end. So you're sending the energy throughout your whole arm, and then you're steering that. And you can turn the wrist back. Like I can use my wrist, bring it back to the elbow, bring it to the forearm, but it's my wrist that brings it back. I don't go like this and pull. That's my shoulder, never driving to the wrist, and my shoulder swinging backwards. You won't have power, you won't have control, and it's hard for you to continue the motion and maintain the energy. You're like go, stop, rather than go, flow, and glow, and you know.
So let's see, Ian says, do you use Fajing?
Yeah, of course. That's part of Tai Chi. Fajing is the ability to wind energy one point and get to another. So a great example is like brush left knee. You know, you're creating your body torque one way and you're gonna bring it out. Step up like guitar, like just all these things. That's why you need wrist and waist. Those are the 2 points that allows you to control energy. That's how you can create torques and turns. You know, so like when you see me going like this, you can see it's in the waist and the wrist. So if I'm doing like this and I go like that, it's in the waist and wrist. If I'm going like that, it's the waist and the wrist that allows me to create movements that flows. So if I'm getting attacked, I turn. You can see I turn my body to create forward pressure, but turning pressure, and then learn how to return. So you must have Fajing to properly create power when you're moving. If you don't, then you're doing push and pulls, which is no good compared to someone who's more powerful, because you're fighting force on force. Remember, for a guy to overpower you, he has to, one, have resistance, okay? And two, he needs to have a point in which he can push from, okay? So those are the two factors that allows a guy's strength to be applied on you. So if there's no resistance, then he can't muscle you, okay? And there's a difference between active resistance and passive resistance. There's two types of resistance, okay? Active resistance is a force that's going against a pressure. Passive resistance is the structural integrity. I talk about that all the time. You have to have structural integrity. Structural integrity is the passive resistance. It's like pushing your hand on a wall. When I push into the wall, like, and is the wall pushing back or is it not? It's yes and no. It is passively resisting me, but it's not actively resisting me. In other words, when I let go, you don't see the wall falling. You know, a human being, when they actively resist, like I've had CJ Jamie push me and just give me a hard push, like just push, yeah, push. And you can see she'll go forward. But if she was a wall and I let go, she wouldn't move at all, because it's not actively resisting me, it's passively resisting me, and that's structural integrity. And the idea is, for a person to overpower you and overwhelm you, she has to have a point in which she can push into while I resist. And if I didn't resist, she'll push into me. So if she pushes into me and I can turn that point, no matter how she pushes me, I'm always able to take it so she cannot find that point in which she can push. Once I push in a line, she has a point where she can push back, which means she can overpower me or overwhelm me. But if I told her to push me. So she can push me. She can never find that line, no matter how good, no matter how good she is, she could if she gets better than me. But no matter how good she is right now,
unless he stops training for a very long time.
No matter how good she is right now, she cannot find that point, because no matter how she tries to, I can always convert it. And to convert, you have to find the arc. And how I do that is because of the wrist. It's not because of the shoulder. Once I go on the shoulder, it's not a curve. It's me going here into a line. It's really a line. The curve has to have an arc behind the line. You must create a spiral. That's why we talk about spiral all the time. For every drive, there must be a torque. For every torque, there must be a drive. You cannot have one without the other. If I torque but don't drive, I can go like this, and I'll torque, but I don't have a drive. I can't redirect her energy. The drive is to take her energy this way. See, I'm driving, so she pushes, goes. The problem is there's no steering. She can just turn it back. That's why I do this, and the wrist turns. That's how I get my control. So I have to have both, okay? If I just do this, and I don't have any torque, you see I'm driving it, but there's no torque, or I do this, I torque but no drive, I'll collapse. I need to have both. I have to have both. So you can see I could just move her with one arm, and no matter how she pushes me, I can convert it all the time. And I have structure, okay? Now I could be a higher structure. For example, right now, let's say I'm at 20. And so it doesn't take her. She can push at 80 and she's gonna move me very quickly. But if I was more like 100 pounds of pressure for her to move, then she has to gain the extra 20 somehow to move me. Because she's not gonna move it, give me a light push, very light. If I have a very strong structure, she's not going to move me. She's not going to push that into me because she doesn't have enough. She has to manipulate that by turning the wrist, turning the elbow, and she can't overpower that. So no matter how strong she is, like give me high resistance, I can't push her because she's too strong. So I have to take that resistance when she pushes back at me. I'll take it and move it, and I turn it, and I control it. That's why we learn to get it in the wrist, because we send it into our hands, and then we steer that energy. So whenever she does anything to me, I'm sending it to the hand. I'm controlling that. You see how I'm manipulating the force behind that? So whenever she's moving, I'm manipulating that pressure. And what does that translate in combat? If she's punching me, my interception here is my ability to take. She pushes me somehow, I can now take the energy and turn it. I'm manipulating through the wrist. I don't fight her like this, punch me, I go. I don't use my arms to try to steer her. I use my arms to create structure. I use it to create the base, so when she hits me, it doesn't collapse. Because if I don't have a good base, it'll collapse. So I have to have structure. This is why we have to have that first base, right? That first proof. The second is to drive up. So the first is create structure. The second is to create intercepting point that when she creates pressure, I move it somewhere else. The third point is when I move it somewhere else, I take it and put it back on her so I can find the control. That's why three proof is so important. That's why you have to have that wrist in the end, because any force that comes out on contact on me, whether it's my body, my arms, must go to the wrist so I can turn that back. If I don't get that right, then I'm going to wind up swinging, I'm going to wind up pulling, I'm going to wind up pushing, but I'm not controlling. The key is to manipulate energy to your control, not so you can overpower or overwhelm. So it's very important that you get that for that reason.
Sorry about that wonky transition. My camera thing went loose. Went wonky on me. I was like, oh. All right, so let's see what other questions we have. So we answered that one. Hey, Bob. Hey, Robert. Who else is on? Let's see.
Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? No, I'm being Southern. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, Neo1. Let's see. Hey, Sand Dude. How's it going? Nice hairs, both of you, CJ and Sifu. Thank you so much. Sandu said, what is a heavy foot and light foot? I heard to say, Stephen Ho, you must be light foot while combat and not heavy foot.
Well, I don't know what his definition is. So I don't know what he's referring to. I'd have to see the video and see what he's trying to say, because I don't know. Mm-hmm. But when we talk about footwork, okay, there's two types, okay? You have what we call the anchor, okay, and then what you have to call the force, okay? Or there's like the layman's term and the martial arts term. So you have what we call the root and anchor, or you have what they call the weight and force, okay? And it's the same thing. The root is your weight, the force is your anchor. And what I mean by that is whenever we're standing, wherever the weight is, that's our point in which we drive from energy down to the ground because of gravity, right? So to do this demonstration, as you can see, and you guys can do this at home too. It's easy to see, it's easy to do. So you can see when I'm demonstrating, I'll show you what we call, like I said, the root and anchor. The root is which you drive your force into the ground. The anchor is not. Okay, the anchor is where you take someone else's force. And I'll demonstrate it real quick as soon as Jamie gets here. So if she were to take a position, a leg one in front of the other, okay, her weight right now is even. So let's say you put it towards your rear leg for now, just so you can see it. It could be even, but let's just do this so it's more easy to say. So right now you can see where's her weight. She would tell me it's in her left leg. If I did this, and I tell people like this all the time, I'm going to pull you, don't let me pull you, okay? And I go like this, don't let me pull you, okay? And I tell them, where's the weight? Normally they point it towards this leg because that's where they feel this. And the weight is not there. The weight is still here. Yeah. What this is what we call the force, okay? Mm-hmm. or the anchor. It's the point in which pressure is applied because of someone else's force, not because of your mass.
Like I can feel most of it here, but I can feel like this kind of
Yeah, but down. She doesn't feel it until I pull her.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
when she does this and doesn't let me, she thinks it's her weight, or most people think it's her weight, not her. But most people at the beginning, they think they go, oh, because I do it all the time in demonstrations. I say, so where's your weight when I pull you? It's like, oh, towards the lead leg. It's like, no, your weight's not towards the lead leg. It's still in the rear leg. What you feel is the force. You're driving my force down to the ground, which is what we call an anchor. Remember, the anchor is not active until the current pushes on it. Then the anchor is active. The water's still, and the boat's not being pushed, and the anchor's not really needed.
It actually feels like an anchor too.
It is an anchor.
Yeah.
That's what we call the anchor. That's called the root. Okay, or they call it the weight, which is the rear leg, and the force. That's the force leg. Okay, that's where we drive the force. Now, if I said to her, put your weight towards your lead leg and keep it there. Don't let me pull. Keep it there though. You can see it's easy. And that goes the opposite too. If I were to push her, right, and I told her not to let me push her, she'd go like this. Her weight would go towards the lead leg, and what she would feel is the force going towards the rear.
Yep.
But if we told her to put the weight in the rear leg, where they think that the weight is, it's no good. Okay, so again, if he's talking about light and heavy, and I don't know his terminology, if that's what he's referring to, this is what we say, what we call the root and anchor. You want to be light and know how to distribute your weight, but be light enough to know how to drive energy into one point, and then you have to know how to distribute it depending on where he pushes or pulls you or push you to the side. One of the most important things is having a strong core. Without a strong core, the legs have no value, because you could put all this right structure in your feet, but if your core breaks, it doesn't matter. So if the core is not strong, the foot will not hold. Okay, it's like having a very good foundation on the floor, but you're building like this. You know, it doesn't matter how good the foundation is, because that core that your body is not set to support, or the legs aren't set to support the body, because it's off to the center. So you would have to straighten it. Now, the leaning tower of Pisa is just an exception. But again, it's only 13.6 degrees, I think it is. But any more, I think it would fall. So, but most buildings, you know, they would crash. They would tumble and down to the ground. They would just crush. Okay? In order to get that support right down to the legs, the core must be strong enough to set it down. If your core is off, then your feet will go off too. It doesn't matter how strong your foundation is. If the support of that crumbles, and the foundation is no good. Now, the foundation's job is to keep the core, or the upper body, or the building, where you want to fall, in this case our body, from falling, from collapsing, from crumbling. So if the core is bad, it doesn't matter how good your footwork is. In footwork, things are always dynamic. No one fights and stays still and just stays still. You know, there is shifting, there is turning, there's moving. So there are footwork that's dynamic. It's never stagnant. So if he's talking about, you know, don't be heavy, which is what he's trying to say, don't stay in one spot and just punch and stay like this, like this.
Or what about the people, because I'm not sure if this is what he's talking about, but I know that I've seen people do this where they're like stomping and stuff like that versus like being light on your feet.
Yeah, Shaolin does that, and a lot of times you're only stomping in practice, because you're practicing how to get that root down, to get that power, like whoa, you learn how to find that connection. But again, it's not every time. It's just certain points in which you're trying to get that power to explode from the front, from the back to the front. But you know, in combat, it's not always available. That's why you have to do all kinds of movement. It cannot be the only thing you have, because if a guy moves to the side every time and you're like going and you're committing, he can read you, then you're in trouble. Right. You have to know how to turn, torque, twist. That's why there's all kinds of ways of striking. There's twist turning like this. There's side stepping like this and getting your body in towards their target, as opposed to like this, you know. So there's all kinds of footwork. But again, I haven't seen this video, but if he's talking about being heavy and light, he's talking about maybe about being stuck in one place where you're just like this, just throwing all the weight like this, because you are vulnerable to being attacked. You become stagnant. Movement should be dynamic. Your feet, if I'm going to move in like this, I'm going to follow through for the next. I can move in. Because remember, when you hit someone, no one's going to get hit. Like say she hits me, I'm going to go, ugh, and stay here. I'm probably going to respond by moving away or side or duck. And so you have to move your footwork to stay in touch. If I told her to hit my hand, she could hit it as long as I keep hitting it. Cycle it. Yeah, so she can still hit it, but if I go like this, she has to start moving and start following it, because that's what people are. No one's going to stand there unless they're that bad. And if somebody punches, they go, and just stay there with their head. People will move. They'll move their head. They'll move their body. And so you have to know how to follow that. So if she's punching me, and I'm like, she has to know how to keep going. So I'm like, she has to know how to keep going towards me and move to adjust to that change. So you can't be heavy where you're in one spot. And again, that could be one interpretation. Again, he could be talking about the stomping she's talking. I don't know the video. All I can say is, in combat, you cannot be stuck in one place, okay? Unless you're grappling on the floor, and even then, people are always moving to get better positions. So we're always learning to get better angles to take advantage of the person, especially when they're bigger and stronger than us. The other thing is you want to find that control where the balance between light and heavy, so you can transfer energy properly. She's pushing my arm, and I'm stuck like this, very stiff. I can keep my arm very strong and move my feet to adjust, or I can keep my feet very strong and just do this and move my arms, or like that, I can be very light with my feet and still keep that strong arms, or a little bit of both. And again, that's learn how to find the balance. That's really what you're training for. It's total body control to convert energy. Remember what the pressure is. You can't learn to break. You must learn to break your opponent. And that's through manipulation. And that's learn how to transfer. Again, we talked about the root and the anchor. Again, that depends on the force. That's how our footwork really has to work when it comes to energy and pressure. And it's found in science. Soccer posts are built like this with a long arm like this, so that way pressure can't push it over. It's got enough weight in the back so it won't fall forward, but if there's force coming into it, it won't knock it away. Everything has designs and it's physics. It can't be changed. It doesn't matter what style you call it. You don't change physics. Physics don't change. You have to adapt to the science. Science doesn't have to adapt to you.
Right on. So, CCPPPTV must be new to what we do here. Says, do you Tai Chi only or also Kung Fu? So we do Wing Chun, Chin Na, Tai Chi, Qigong. We have our core training. We have our own system of ground fighting, all filtered through the No Deck Na system.
All right, and No Deck Na. And it doesn't matter what you call it. Call it what you want. Really, you're trying to train to manipulate energy properly. That's really what it comes down to. All styles are similar. Any martial arts, pick any martial arts, they have all one thing in common. They use energy to make an achievement work, right? Whether they do a lock, whether they do a punch, whether they parry, whatever. It requires energy. So we are focused on the energy and the science behind maximizing the energy using minimal effort to do so.
Absolutely. So Nian says, do I hold the Bong Sao from my back and or elbow, or do I hold it only by the wrist? I try both ways, but I have a feeling holding the Bong Sao with the wrist feels better.
Well, think of it like a garden hose. It's constantly flowing from the ground throughout your body into the wrist. So you're never really just holding a Bong Sao. You're constantly feeling the motion of moving it to the wrist in the end. So in the end, it is the wrist that you want to send it to, but the wrist has to have a focus to go into something. So if I'm doing a Bong Sao, I'm doing it because I'm raising the wrist, but the Bong Sao is to me to intercept someone's arm. And then from there, I have to play the technique based on what I feel. And for example, she may punch me, right? And let's say she punches, and I pop this up. Depending on how she pushes me, whether she's heavy this way or she turns this way, I have to use my wrist accordingly. So I can use that. So if she's punching me, I might bong like this and go, and then cut her and use that. I might go like this and use, again, because that, again, it depends on my ability to manipulate, okay, the force. The guy can't dictate the force on you. He can influence you a certain way, but it's you who ultimately decides what you're going to do with it. Whether you collapse, whether you spring from it, whether you turn it. That comes out, and it's really the wrist allows you to get the fastest and most effective response. Not your shoulders, not your arms. When you do from the shoulders, you're always strained, you're always stressed. Yeah. The reason why we always talk about the wrist is because the wrist is what controls force, not your shoulders. They create force, but they can't control it. That's why it's important to have a very strong base. That creates your, what we call the passive resistance, right? It creates your structural integrity, it creates your forward motion. And it also creates the point at which you drive from the elbow to the wrist, which allows you to create that forward intent. Okay? The base creates structure, the elbow to the wrist creates forward intent, and the wrist creates control. That's why it's three-proof like that. So in the end, it's ultimately your wrist that you want to do. So I can do like a Bong Sao like this. I can do a Bong Sao into this. So I can do a Bong Sao into this. I can do a Bong Sao into this. So it's my wrist that makes the change. If you ever look at your form, what makes you change direction is not your shoulders, it's your wrist. If I'm doing this, I want to do a hun. It's not, I don't do this and make my shoulder make a hun. I make the wrist make the hun. If I bring it back, I turn the wrist to bring it back. I don't do this and pull back. If you did that, someone puts your hands on your wrist. If I told her to push my hand as I do this, so if I put my hand, grab the wrist, and I do this and I pull, she can push it right into my chest. She does it again. I learn how I use my wrist. She can't. Okay? Wrist controls pressure. That's what allows you to manipulate energy. Your shoulders don't. It's not its job. Shoulders are there to create base. They are there to create the forward intent for the base, to create the structure. Then from there, that's what gives you to create that forward intent, that drive to feed the wrist, so the wrist can attack the target. Your arms don't attack target. Your wrist attacks target. It may use the arm to do so, but it's the wrist that makes that. It's like the blade is what cuts the person, but it's the handle that drives the blade. That's what your arm is. It's the force that drives that. It's your wrist that makes the cut, but it's the blade that makes it, but it's the handle that makes the pressure for the blade to cut. So it's the same thing as your arm and your wrist. Your arm creates the pressure for your wrist to attack that point. Without that drive, the wrist can't do it. That's why for every drive, there must be a torque. For every torque, there must be a drive. You cannot have a torque without a drive. You cannot have a drive without a torque. If you have a drive without a torque, then you're muscling. If you have a torque without a drive, you collapse. This is what it is. Think of a drill. If I squeeze the drill, but I pull and push down, how much of a hole do I make? But if I push but don't squeeze the trigger to spin, how much pressure do I make? Now, if it's through wood, you might make maybe a quarter of an inch down. But if it's steel, you're not going to do anything, which basically the resistance of the structure, like the block of wood versus steel, is like someone's strength and resistance to you. But if I spun it and I push, wood, steel, it don't matter. I'm going to put a hole in it. And that's the same. You know, you got to have that property. You got to have those two type of techniques behind what you do. This is why when you practice your Son Tao, when you practice Chum Kyo, this is why in Tai Chi, same thing. You got to get the energy in your wrist. If you can't get the energy in your wrist, you're not learning how to control energy. You just learn how to throw energy. And it can work if you're stronger than a person. He's weaker and he's not skilled. Then yeah, you can overpower and overwhelm. But you take a guy twice your strength, you're going to find that it doesn't work too well. And you take a guy who knows how to manipulate energy very well through the wrist, then you're going to find that it's going to be like every time I touch him, he keeps knocking me over. Which is like why I can take my one finger and I can have her push me with her fist, her whole entire body, and it doesn't matter. She can push me, touch my nose or touch my chest, it doesn't matter. But it doesn't matter. See, every time she's trying, I just manipulate her. And you notice I do it through the wrist. But I don't do like this. Look, watch this. Why do you, even though I turn my wrist, why did it fail? Because they didn't have my base. Right. You can see, I try to use my shoulder to push her down, to turn her over. And it doesn't work. For me to do this right, I have to have a base. See, once I have a base, it has a natural drive. And then comes down my steering. So it's my ability to steer her. See, every time, notice how it's moving? She's applying this force, but I'm steering the force. I'm not trying to stop it. I'm manipulating it. So that's really what you want to learn to do. That's the mastery level that you want to get to. If you don't, then you're going to use strength. Remember, what you lack in skill, you make up in strength. So you will use strength to compensate for what you do. And so that's why you'll think you're doing really well when you're playing or fighting someone who's weaker than you, but then you fight someone twice your strength. Like, man, I cannot. He's just too. I hear this all the time. People will tell me, this guy's just too strong. Right away when you say that, I already know what is wrong. You went against him. You didn't control him. You went and fought against him. That's why you don't feel like you can turn. Because you say, well, I'm trying to turn him. I turn my wrist. Like, no, you're really not. You're using your shoulders. Because if you did, it would be effortless. It wouldn't have to matter. That's like saying, the car is just too big. It's just too heavy. I can't steer it. Of course you can steer. If you know how to handle the force and steer the gas, or steer the wheel and use the gas and brake to manipulate, then of course, it doesn't matter how big the engine is. The question is, can you handle at higher speeds? Because if it's going at 30 miles an hour, most of us who drive can handle. But when it goes 230 miles an hour, we're not used to that. Only the professional NASCAR drivers can handle speeds that are high because they're trained to do so. It's not the pressure, it's the speed of pressure. That's really what matters. Can you handle it under higher pressure because of the speed? And so that's what you train to do, to handle the pressure at high speeds. Pressure can't increase unless you fight back. No one can increase pressure. Imagine if you stood on a scale on a hard surface, right? Let's say you weigh 200 pounds. You stand out, it weighs, you'll read 200 pounds. Now imagine if you stood on top of the scale what was on mud or quicksand. What do you think the reading would be? It wouldn't be much because there's no resistance to create that pressure to let you measure what kind of force you're exerting on the ground because of gravity. Because the resistance is not there. And that's the same. Pressure can't increase on me unless first I fight against her. So nobody can increase pressure unless you decide to fight them first. So if you're like, oh, they're just too strong, too heavy, it's not. They went at such a speed that you could handle it. Instinctively, you hit them to slow it down. That's what we do when we can't handle the speed. When we're driving real fast, it's a corner, we're turning, we don't not handle. What do? We brake. We hit the brake, so we slow it down to where we can handle it. Let's just say a car can handle turns at 60 miles an hour. You're just not used to doing it. You'll slow down to go to speed that you can handle. And that's what happens to you when someone's coming at higher speed. You will hit to try to slow it down to get to a pressure that you can or a speed that you can. But in doing so, you create more pressure to do so. So the idea is know how to handle it, create that pressure to hit, and then immediately turn your wrist to control that pressure. And that's why you can do that very, very fast if you know how to create the three-proof the way it is. You create force. Don't get me wrong. You need force to hit them with. But you can't hit against them. You hit into them. And there's a difference. Okay? And then you have to steer the difference, right? The wrist job is to convert the difference between his force and yours. If I can hold 100, she hits me at 150, I got to convert 50. That's my wrist job. So I got to create 100 and then rotate the difference. I don't try to convert 150. I only create, convert 50 because I already have 100. I don't need to change that. I'll neutralize her with my 100 against her 100. The 50 is where my wrist comes into play to handle that.
Absolutely. So hopefully that answered your question and then some. If you guys are new here and you have no idea what we're talking about with the base and the energy and the wrist and all that stuff, and you want to find out more about what we do with our no diagnostic system, you can get a free ebook and our free intro course at entershaolin.com/gift. I did put the link in the comment section for you guys and gals. If you're already a member, you already have access to this, please do not sign up for it because it's going to kick you out of your actual membership and then it gets a hot mess. We can fix it, but it's not fun, at least not for me. So the way you access that, if you're already a member, as soon as you log in, that's your My Training page, which you can also access from the members menu at any time under My Training, and go to the No Deck Not intro section. You will find the ebook and the intro videos there. Same thing for you guys and gals signing up. I don't know why, but everyone thinks that we're going to email them the ebook and everything, even though we don't see that on the page when you sign up. It's an intro membership. It's complimentary. It's free. There is no commitment to buy. If you like what you see and you want to get access to our full library, we do happen to have an awesome sale going on for our 5th birthday that we just had. And I'll put the link in the description and chat and all that good stuff for you as well. But it is free. It's a free complimentary. You can keep it free forever if you really, really want to. But I get people like, are you going to charge me for this? If you didn't give me your credit card, I can't charge you for nothing, okay? So just so you know, that is free. It's a free gift from us to you so you can experience a little bit more about what we do. If you love these Q&As that we do and you love the training we put for free on Facebook and YouTube and all that good stuff, and as well as inside the site, the free stuff we put up there too, then you will really love what we have inside of Enter Shaolin. And it helps us, you know, to be able to keep the lights on, feed the families, and all that good stuff. So for those of you that do become members, or already have become a member, we really appreciate it. It helps us to keep sharing this awesome Kung Fu and all that we do here. So Neon says, Sifa, meaning about Aikido, does it only look cool or is it really a realistic art for self-defense?
I would say about 95% of it's BS. In terms of if someone grabs them and they can lock right away, those are the effective ones. But when they're doing moves where they're running around in circles and they're going like this, no one's going to leave their hands out there for you. People, they're going to attack you, they're going to grab you and pull you, or they're going to create a punch and cover up and go for the next one. Most of these moves, when you see a guy taking someone's hand, walking around and circling them up in the sky and doing this, that's because they're leaving their hands out there for you. If you want to see something that it's real, anytime you look at a video, don't look at the person doing the move, look at the guy attacking. Because see if he's actually leaving their hands out there for 5 seconds for the guy, like, give me a punch, and to hold it out there, a hook punch. Okay. And you go. And he's like, oh, he looks, it's like, if you look at her, she left her hand out there for a minute, and I can do it at a faster rate, right? But nobody leaves their hand out there for more than half a second. So I always like to say, when you do a move, a punch is like half a second or less. That means you only have a half a second window or less to deal with it. You don't take a 3-4 second move to do a half a second punch. Like I said, she swings at me. I don't go, like, no one's gonna leave their hands. What realistically is you wanna go is like, go here, and go right into the move. Forget checking the arms, forget trying to move the arm around, because it's not gonna last. And you see, I went for the attack. I have my guard in zone, but I'm not chasing after her arms. I'm not trying to move her hands anywhere. In other words, she swings at me. Once I hit this point, like I'm here, I rotate in. I don't try to go and try to take her hands out. I don't need to, because her hands are probably not gonna be there. If she's doing like a double punch, she's gonna go 1, 2, and that hand's not gonna be there long. So the idea is she's doing a double punch, I go, boom. I'm not gonna wait and try to defend when I can use it to attack. So don't look at how people are doing the moves, because that's really just a false advertising, because you look at the attack, but you're never looking at the other guy doing anything but stand there and let someone attack them. Really, attacks should occur within half a second or less. If it doesn't take the point in which you strike or which you lock or which you wrap or grapple, whatever it is you're doing, it's in half a second or less. If it's longer than that, more than likely it will not work. Like I said, the things that, like when somebody grabs an Aikido guy like this, like you see, if they're doing a lock like this really way, then it works. But if they're doing like this and go, and they're doing like all this walk around stuff, no, it doesn't work, okay? No one's gonna stand there for more than half a second for you. You have a half a second window. You gotta do something very, very quickly. For example, if someone's grabbing my wrist, so you can see here, like this is fast, this is quick. It's less than half a second. It's immediate, it's decisive, it's intentional, and it's on purpose to take the attack. But if you're doing like this and you're going, like, and you're going into like, no one's gonna stand there and let you do that. No one will let you have that window in reality. They'll let you have it when, you know, they're doing it with their partner or the teacher's doing it to the student, but not in real life. That's why when I do seminars, I never, unless it's something specific to a technique for a sensitivity drill that nobody knows about, and unless you're trained to do a sensitivity drill, I always pick strangers. I always pick the biggest, strongest guy who doesn't believe it. So I can demonstrate and make it and show that it works. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you think. This isn't about your opinion. This is science. I love Ben Shapiro. He always says facts don't care about feelings. Okay? I don't care what you think. I don't care what you believe. I'm going to show you the facts. I'm going to show you the science, and it's going to work because it doesn't matter. You could say a bullet won't hurt me. I don't care. When I shoot it out of a gun at you, it's going to hurt. Okay? Reality is it's going to do its job because it's very effective at what it does. Yeah. We do the energy control. It's very effective at what it does. This is not about size. It's not about strength. It's not about compliance on someone. It can come at somebody at full resistance because it doesn't matter. It's a manipulation of the energy behind what you're doing. It's not overcoming force against what you're doing, and that's the difference. I'm not going against it. I'm manipulating it so I could turn it against them. So Aikido looks great in the movies. It looks great in demonstrations. But have an Aikido master do it against a guy who is not going to let him do it. And then see if he can walk around. See if the guy's going to be pulled with his hands, being turned and flipped and all that stuff. It's not going to happen. Okay? You have to do, like, some Aikido moves that are effective. Like, if she came to push me, like they do the temi, like, boom, that's good. Because it's direct. It takes them out to the side, and then it takes them out, period. Those techniques are very good. Those fast counterattacks that they do, they're good. They're effective. But to do a lot of those fancy locks, circling, bring him here, bring him ground, take him here, nah, that's because the guy's complying. He's not resisting. The ones that goes fast, like I said, half a second window, they're effective because it doesn't give the guy time to do anything else. He goes directly for the attack, and we always believe in not defending or counter or blocking. We believe in counterattacking or attacking. We don't believe in trying to defend first. It doesn't work because the time you get him off you, he'll have another punch coming in your face, or your body, or wrap you, or whatever. You have to find the counterattack very, very fast. Otherwise, it's not effective.
Right on. So Andrew says he would love to meet us. We'd love to meet you too. So hopefully you can come to our next seminar or one of them in the future. Roberta says, good morning, guys. Can't stay. Got to go to work, but wanted to say you are all
Cheers.
awesome. Well, thank you. We appreciate you. And John says, and the 3C concept is the connection point. Does it need to be exact, or can we still control if we did not get the point or even miss the point altogether, but still have control point?
Controlling point is about contact point. Contact point is where you make contact. So think of it like a rolling pin. Wherever you can roll into, that's fine. But when you slide, it's no good. In other words, once she finishes her drink, if I connect to her and she punches me, let's say, and I connect to her, I have the range to go as much as a roll. So you can see that. I can roll that, see? So if she's punching me, I can do a base here and roll and then take her from that. That's fine. But if I'm doing like this and I slide to do so, no, because I'm no longer on point. I'm actually sliding off point. If I'm doing a move where I go like this and I go like this, as I turn, I slide, that's no good. Right. Because I'm not influencing the point. I'm actually coming off point. I'm slipping. That's why boxers have a punch, they call it slipping the punch. So if she's swinging a punch and you go like this, it can slip in. Because even though I have contact, I'm not contacting on point. It's actually coming off of me. If she's punching, she slips the point. And you can see I roll. See, I rolled and I stayed. As long as I'm in rolling contact, that's fine. And then I learn how to manipulate the wrist properly. Now, if my wrist fails in the roll, then it's no good. Okay, so you have as much contact based on what you can roll into without creating slides. When you slide and you lost your point control. Remember, contact point means control point. Okay, when you're sliding, you can't influence it because you're actually constantly changing the point on pressure. See, when I roll, I keep pressure on. When I slide, I don't go pressure on. I can come off or I can go against. It's about learning how to be right on point. So it's what we call the cop technique, consistency of pressure. So your cop, you must learn how to keep that pressure on, and you have as much range as what you can roll without the slide. Now, they slide off you, that's different. You can't slide off of them. If they slide off of you, that means they lost their point of control. You slide off of them, you lost the point of control. So if it's like, oh, when I punch it, come off me, that's fine. Don't roll, just hit. You know, like if you feel their energy drop, then why are you going for the defense? Go for the attack first. But if you feel the pressure on you, you have control, and you feel that, you know, that control is on you, then that's how you manipulate the energy, and you can turn them off. But never through the slide. Sliding doesn't work, okay? You gotta learn how to stick and get the pressure on the roll, like rolling dough. Now imagine if I'm rolling the dough. As I roll it, it gets nice, a flat, even pressure because it's rolled. Now imagine if I push and the roller didn't roll. I'll be stretching it. I'm not going to be flattening it and making it even pressure. I'm actually going to be ripping the dough. Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing. You have to go forward while creating that pressure to roll evenly. If you don't know how to keep it, like you're sliding, you don't create that roll pressure to keep it even, you're going to wind up smearing the thing, and it's going to be a fight, and it can wind up tearing. And that's what it's like. It's tearing bad for you. It's not bad for the dough. It's bad for you. Okay? Mm-hmm. Imagine you're eating that. It's just not going to bake it right? So it's the same. You have to create that contact point and get your range through the rolling point. That's it. Anything more of that where you're sliding, it's bad.
No sliding. All right, so Corey says, I'm praying for Seafood Larry and everyone else to enter Shaolin. I also put a prayer request in for you as well as Seafood Larry. God is good and Jesus is Lord. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Speaking of Seafood Larry.
What's up? What's going on here?
Corey's praying for you.
Thank you.
Want to tell them an update? How are you feeling?
188 pounds, healthy.
Compared to what weight?
227 is what
227
you were when you started.
So you see, doing very, very well.
Doing good.
Exercising regularly. Mm-hmm. Eating well.
Qigong, Tai Chi. Mm-hmm. Meditation, prayer.
We need a question for Hersey because he needs to get hit today.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, here's a question, Alex.
I was going to ask that one. Is it the base one? Is that the one you're seeing, or is there another one?
No, it's a backwards intent, forward intent, backwards intent.
Oh, okay. All right. So Alex said, Sifu, if everything in Wing Chun is supposed to have forward intent, why does the Cao-Sao? There's a Cao-Sao?
Cao-Sao, yeah.
Cao-Sao?
It's C-A-U.
Oh, okay. C-A-U. Okay. I was like, I've never seen that spelled that way before. Or however it's spelled, come back towards you.
Okay. To explain to you, there's a difference between going backwards and yielding backwards. You're not supposed to have a forward intent. You always have to have forward intent. So there's no supposed to. You have to have it. Okay? There's a difference between going backwards and yielding backwards. Okay? Yielding backwards means you'll give into pressure, but you still have forward intent. So if you were to have a spring on a board and it's on a wall and you pushed it, physically it compresses, it goes backwards. But where do you feel the pressure always? Forward, right? If the wall's here and it's solid and you push into it, if the wall holds 200 pounds of force, the spring holds 100-pound force, and you can put 150 pounds of force, you're going to feel the spring go in, but you can feel the intent always go forward. Now imagine the spring is 100 pounds of pressure. You push 100, but the wall only holds 20. As you push, what would happen? That's backwards. Okay? You can yield to pressure, you can collapse some pressure. So let's use Hersey again. So I'm going to hit him in the face to do this, just so you can, if you see how it hurts. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So I'm going to demonstrate. Let's say he grabs me. Okay? So you can see he'll grab me. He's going to push into my body. So you can see I'm going backwards. Okay? Now, do it again. If I grab him, you see what happens? I went backwards. So you can see, push, I go ahead, I'm gonna grab, didn't work. Do it again, no, push it into me. So you can see, I still went in. I'll bring it to my chest so you can see it. I'll bring it to my chest and yet still I can take him. Because even though I'm yielding, he'll still feel pressure here. If you do this and you go like this, there's no forward intent. That's backwards motion. That's not yielding backwards. That's going backwards. That means I took my pressure, my force, and I didn't drive it to my wrist. I pulled it back into my shoulder. That's bad. When he pushes me, he still feels forward intent. He still feels it go forward. So even though he physically went in, he can still feel the drive go towards my wrist. And then, do it again. push me backwards, push me. I can still take him. So now I still have forward intent when I yield. Push, see I'm yielding, yet still taking, okay? So he does this. Bow! There you go, bow, bow! There you see, I heard him, no. but you can see, you cannot go backwards. I always talk about forward intent. Yielding is not going backwards. It's giving to pressure greater than your structural integrity, but still maintaining that forward intent through the wrist. Forward intent is from the arm and the wrist. It's not from the elbow and the shoulder. Okay? Well, it is, yes and no. It's always a flow this way. So yeah, it is. But it's not that I have to push against him. It can yield. It can come in, but it cannot go in. It can come in, but yet still go forward. So that's the difference. Okay? So thank you. Did I hit your face hard? No? No. Okay. I'll have to hit him harder next time. But the idea, like I said, is yielding backwards is okay. Going backwards is not okay. Must always have forward intent. Must always. Without forward intent, you cannot put pressure back on your opponent. He'll put pressure into you. Okay? So you have to have that. But there's a difference between forward intent and resistance. Okay? Forward intent means I have energy going forward, and the difference I convert. Resistance means whatever pressure I feel, I'm just going to try to overcome it. Whether I'm able to or not, I'm just going to do the effort of trying to overpower it. And that's the difference. You know, committed energy versus forward energy. What's the difference? Answer. I'll give you 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's good enough. Okay. Forward intent forward energy and commit energy lies based on 2 words. Okay. Forward energy is on point. Commit energy is past point. Really. So when you're going with committed energy, you're going past the target, which is resistance, and forward energy is on target, which is on point.
So I have an awesome report. So our brother John, that is watching on Facebook, he started a challenge that Sifu Larry put out about a month ago with some core training, and he went from 250 down to 226. So about where Sifu Larry was when you started your thing. So that's awesome. Congratulations. And he wants to know what's next. So you're going to put something up this week? In the update?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe?
About it. See how I didn't want the commitment? Maybe. Nah, dude, it's about that time. It's been about a month.
It's been about a month.
We'll get a new core training up.
All right.
We'll get a new one up for you.
But good job, brother. That's awesome to hear. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Just making some simple changes. So cool, so cool. James says, nice, great work. Tommy says, hey Sifu, how many chin-out techniques are there?
There's a lot of chin-out techniques. In terms of joints, there's wrist, elbow, shoulder, okay? Knees, ankles. There's some hips, but it's not easy to get hit. Like you get into the grappling point. So, and then there's the necks, okay? So if you break it down, that's all the joints you can manipulate, and then fingers too, small joint manipulation, okay? But how you go about it, really, there's lots and lots of ways to do it, from the inside, from the outside, from the front, from the back. So if you count them, I've never counted it, but just finger locks alone, the point is still the same. The method in which I go about it is differently. So for example, let's say I take her wrist, right? I could do it like this. So I could break her wrist this way. Let's just take just this one point. That's what we call the bow. I could break her wrist this way. I could do it like this with this hand, just here. I could do it with just a finger. I could do it with a chin. It doesn't matter. I could do it with the arm, depending how she grabs it. And again, it's about learning manipulating the point. No matter what you do it with, it's about learning how to manipulate the point. That's really what matters. Chin-on means to seize and control. That's what it means. It literally means that, to seize and control. It means to seize, get a hold of what you got, take control of it, and manipulate to where you need to do, whether you lock it, whether you hyperextend it, where you tear it, whatever, you break it. That just depends. But really, there's ankle locks, knee locks, there's hip displacement, but I don't really count that because, again, you have to be on the ground, you have to lock a person out in a certain way and pop the hip from that. So it's really not that feasible. It's like you never really see it in a combat. It just never really work because it's not that easily accessible. So you got your ankle, okay, you got your knee, and that's mostly in grappling, okay? That's where it really comes from. On a striking level, you'll never see that coming, okay? No one's gonna, unless they strike the knee, and that's not locking, that's attacking, and that's hitting it to breaking it, okay? But when you're locking, it's the ankle, the knee, okay? You got your elbow, you got your shoulder, you got your wrist, you got your fingers, and you got your neck. That's really what you talk about joint manipulation. That's all there is. to do. Now, if you go, well, you got your pinky, you got your ring, then we can count that if you want them individual. I'll just count them all like digits.
And
like
there's different
fingers.
locks that you
And there's
can
different
do
ways you go about.
on-
Okay, finger lock. You break it from the front and the back here, and then you can break it from the sides. So
Endless ways.
there's different ways to do it. So.
And the reason I was really laughing was, and Hersey knows why. I looked over at him. He's smiling. We just did tons of wrist exercise yesterday, so my wrist are already sore. So that really hurt. He knew. He's like, oh man, glad that's not me up there. CCPPP TV says, how many times a day do you recommend eating for proper nutrition and doing a lot of training? Well, proper nutrition doesn't have to do with the amount of times you eat a day.
It's just staying on that diet.
Of the actual nutrition that you're putting into your body, because you could eat pizza 3 times a day and still not be getting proper nutrition. So it's
But it is delicious if you get it from a nice pizza place.
in moderation, people, in moderation. So yeah, it's really not, that's not really about proper nutrition, and every person's different. You know, if we were out and about in our natural habitat, you know, and didn't have all these buildings and whatever, eating 3 times a day is not really normal. That's more of a relatively new invention. So I do intermittent fasting personally.
And
I usually do 2 meals a day. There's some people that only do 1 meal a day.
And it also depends on your physical activity in your daily life. You know, like Michael Phelps, he ate 12,000 calories a day, and that was fine because he would burn it because he would train for hours and hours. So it depends on your lifestyle and how much you're burning, you know. That
yeah,
makes a
and
factor.
also your body type too. Because
Yeah,
some of
and
us
your
are very
genetics.
efficient burners. I could exercise all I want. If I ate 12,000 plus calories, it would not be so well. But I'm going to survive an apocalypse because I can, you know, just eat like a grain of rice.
She's like
and
a
good to
mouse.
go.
Look, there's a leaf. I'm full.
I'm good. I'm good. And I won't be full. I'll just survive. That's about it. So yeah, so it's not really about that, but you can look up things like intermittent fasting. There's people that only eat 1 time a day and they do fabulous as well. And the reason why is it helps with your digestion. It helps keep your hormones in check and different things like that. So it just really depends on on you personally. There's some people that feel like, oh, I can't do that. I have to have breakfast in the morning. I thought I was like that until I started intermittent fasting. In a couple of weeks, I realized that the only reason I was ever hungry really in the morning is if I ate late at night. So once I stopped eating late at night, I wasn't hungry in the morning anymore because my blood sugar levels were in check and I wasn't having those spikes of ups and downs. So do what works for you. That's what I'm going to say on that one. And eat healthy, whole foods, organic foods, natural foods, no processed foods, people. All right. Let's see. Alex says, so Sifu, now that I have found my base, what is the best way to keep my shoulders relaxed and square? Well, we talked a little bit about that at the beginning, about, you know, just making sure you have your proper posture and whatnot. And we talked a little bit about that last week as well, but do you have any additional tips for Alex?
Well, you got to just keep practicing until your muscle gets it. I mean, that's what it is.
So
just constantly practice.
Do
until
throughout
your
the
muscle-
day.
Keep in mind, like when you're picking up keys, when you're opening doors, when you're sitting driving a car, is your shoulder up like this or your shoulders down, relaxed? I mean, keep that attention and just make sure that you're always keeping your shoulders down. It becomes natural after a while. You'll recognize it. Like I said, for the last thing when I recognized where my tension was actually when I went to the bathroom. I would see I was going to the bathroom, standing up, and my shoulders were like, oh crap. I actually started sensing when my body was off. Like, wow, I do raise my shoulders, and I started learning. I could feel the difference, and so will you. Once your muscle gets that nice relaxed state, it can tell when it's off because it's the best way your body can perform and not have any stress in your body. So once you start lifting, like, wow, I can feel the stress. It feels off. Like you'll recognize it, but just keep that in your mind at all times. Just pay attention to it. Just push maybe all throughout the day. Like raise your shoulders and push it down naturally. Get your body to recognize that downward weight, and the more you just do that, it's going to recognize that. And so when you go up, you're like, whoa, I can tell it's off, you know. So do that. Just make sure your shoulders go up and then push it down on purpose. Tell yourself to push it down throughout the day, and your shoulders naturally get that natural placement. And then when you start doing this, like, oh, I can tell, I can feel it.
So Neo, no, you do not have to have long hair to join Enter Shaolin. But you know, there is spiritual reasons between having long hair and as well as natural elements. Like there was a study on Native Americans in one of the wars, I can't remember which one, where they became trackers. They cut their hair off because they were in the military, and then all of a sudden their tracking abilities were very nil. So They are kind of like our antennas and stuff like that. You know, for people that have no hair, don't worry, you can still do what we do, okay? You don't have to have long hair at all. DJ says, what do you think is a good age for a young child to start NDN?
Depending on the child, I start as young as 4. It depends on their intelligence, really, and their discipline to listen and do as you say. Now, they can't understand what you're going to teach them. Like, I teach young kids, and there's no way I'm going to explain energy and this and that. And they're like, oh, I get it. But I teach them the bases. Like, for example, I would tell them to keep their elbow down, touch their ribs, and then I would put my hand on their fist, and I tell them to push forward. If I see the guards, no, I would tell them to keep the elbow down. And I'd keep a light pressure, just tell them to push forward. So like they learn how to train the muscle to keep it down. Because you can keep it up and everything, but that becomes more advanced. The first thing I teach them is just how to keep that base down, how to drive without lifting, and because they'll want to throw their weight because they don't know how to drive their energy. And there's a difference. So you teach them how to drive the energy. Eventually the body gets it, and then they'll do it. And I got some kids who are young, and they can hit pretty good. I'm like, yeah, if I was your age, yeah, I'd be crying, like, because I could feel it come into me. It's not enough energy to hurt me, but I could definitely tell, like, they're piercing, whereas other times, like, it bounces off, it doesn't hurt. So when they create that piercing, that's when I'm like, yes, you're doing good. They hit a kid their age, that kid's gonna feel it. So
all about the child.
Get them to get the elbow down, drive it. That's one of the things. And if they can follow that, then they're able to do it. And you teach them by muscle memory. You don't teach them by understanding and replicating. You just tell them what to do, and they have to learn to do it to teach their muscle memory to do so. And that all depends on the age. But 4, I've taught as young as 4. So again, the kid was just very disciplined. Parents raised them to listen, like clean your room, do this, and they were disciplined. So when I told them to do something, they would listen. They wouldn't go looking into the sky and just do whatever. Okay, and again, a lot of that depends on the mental state of the kid. The kid doesn't have to be a certain physicality, because they're so young, their physicality is not even developed, so it doesn't really matter. You got to train them to get the muscle memory, and then as their body develops physically, they'll follow along this path, and they'll start doing that path of movement, and that's how you want to get them. But it depends on the age. As young as 4, I've started, but it doesn't matter. You go as it gets up, it gets easier, right? Because they become more disciplined, become more intelligent, they become more control with their body. So they'll, you see a kid at 4 years old catching a ball versus somebody who's like 15 years old catching a ball. There's a lot more coordination, timing that they have as they're older, because they're more in tune with their body.
Right on. So Tempa says, Sifu, how to check a correct bow stance and weight distribution in 30-70?
It's called 70-30, not 30-70. Okay, 70 towards the lead, 30 towards the rear. The idea is the front, the knee should not go more than the front ball. If you're going past the front ball, you succeed at 70-30. Okay, the rear leg should feel like it's straight but not locked. It should be straight. Okay, slightly bent. Okay, and the weight should go towards the heel from the rear leg. The weight should come down to the heel on the front leg, and the front ball should feel the force of the shifting and slow it down and control that point. So no more than the front ball from the knee. Okay? More than that, it's too much.
This is Sifu's profession. This is what he does professionally. There you go.
What?
Martial arts. You want to know what your profession is. This is your profession.
How old is Sifu?
I already answered that.
Oh, okay. He asked my profession?
Yeah. This, martial arts.
This is what I do professionally.
Since you were, what, 18? Right?
I've taught as early as 17. But I had my own school when I was like 19 years old.
Yep. So yeah, that's what
but
we're doing.
I've been teaching since I was 17.
Do the math. He'll be 48 in September. So there you go. Now you know. Let's see what other questions we have. So Sultan said, good morning. When I perform the stick kicks core training, my hip makes a popping noise. Do you know any stretches directly to target that?
Well, the popping hip noise, yeah, it happens. There are people. We create these little pop noise because it's just like sometimes the bone rolls over a tendon and it happens. I can pop my knee back and forth because I can actually turn a certain way and come back, and my tendons sit over the bone. I turn back, push the tendon back, creates a snap in my knee. I don't know if you can hear it.
Oh, I heard it.
But I can create that. But it's no pain. As long as it doesn't hurt you, you're fine. It's just the way the body is. Nobody's body's perfectly smooth, perfectly right. So sometimes we create just these rolls of hips rolling over tendons that's causing that sound. So As long as it doesn't hurt, you don't even bother. You're
But
not
we do
gonna
have some hip flexor stretches in the core training
but
area.
you're saying the sound it makes?
Yeah.
It's not saying pain, right?
No, not pain, not pain. But it will help some with that and like loosening up that area, so you should experience that.
I'm just saying, if you hear
less.
it and it doesn't hurt, it's no big deal. It's
Yeah,
just
if
the
there
way
was
your
sharp
body is.
pain.
Can you hear this?
Sorry. Right. Oh yeah, my daughter driving nuts. She'll be like snapping
that's
her
all. It's
wrist
tendon
off.
crossing over the bone when you hit your wrist a certain way. So you can hear that, but it doesn't hurt. I mean, as long as it doesn't hurt, it's no big deal. It's just the way your body is.
But if you feel like they're tight, there are hip stretches.
Yeah, there's hip stretching if you feel tight.
Training.
But the sound, no big deal.
So George says, can you demonstrate more wooden dummy techniques, please? Well, we have all the wooden dummy techniques inside of our training site at entershaolin.com, and we have a birthday sale going on. So just put /birthday at the end of the entershaolin.com, and you can sign up for 50% or less and get access to all the training. But could you show them something real quick?
Show or teach, there's a difference.
He just wants to see. He just wants a demo. So
a demonstration of the Jong is just basically, it's about learning how to hit precision, small, tight. So if I'm going like this, so you ready?
You're okay.
So if I'm like this, you learn how to hit and get inside and learn how to create tight movements. So everything you're doing, you're putting that intent. So you can see I'm hitting into the Jong. I don't want to hit against the Jong. So I'm not hitting against it where it bounces. I want to hit into and send it into the Jong. The Jong is designed to hit proper technique. So your body creates these structures and the control in your weight. So when I'm moving, if I'm like here and I move like this, you can see I can move out, move back right away and hit. So you can see here. So you can see my leg, put the power. If I'm moving my body, I can hit the power and go into it. So when I'm hitting, and you can see what I'm doing, and you see these are all small bursted movements, and you need to have that because you have to find your hit to attack, not your hit to defend to get away. You have to do it to get back in, and you know that's what we want to do all the time. Find the way to find the counterattack very, very fast, very, very quick, very, very efficient. If it's not that, then like I said, you're allowing the guy time to put energy back into you. You're the one receiving the pressure. Now you're going to probably use energy to push away from it rather than into it or against it. You want to go against it. You want to go away from it. You want to go into it. And that's really what you want to develop the Jong hitting for. So that way you're not learning how to push past it. You want to go into it. You want to find that precision and the power to hit right into point. So that way when you translate, like you can see, like, you know how I do this? So she's punching me. I'm going right back into that target right away. However she's punching me, I can hit here, she go here, and I take these fast attacks right back in. So I'm not defending first or trying to get her away first. I'm trying to get in first. You know, she may throw the first attack. I'm the one who's going to land the first attack. Mm-hmm. And that's what the Jong should be taught for. If you're hitting it just to hit it fast, hitting it hard, but not without the precision, without the control, it's really not going to work well in combat because you didn't know how to manipulate. It's like just hitting the gas pedal, just hitting the floor, just steering like this and not really feeling the road. You got to feel the engine, you got to feel the road, and so you can manipulate the force behind it. That's what you're trying to do. And when you're doing the Jong, that's what you want to do too.
Thank you, thank you. Hey Daniel, how's it going, girl? If you guys haven't already, please like and share this video to help us get the word out. And if you're on Facebook, I did put a pinned post that has information about our birthday sale. If you're new here, you can get our free ebook and intro lessons. Also, if you want to get one of these cool hoodies, you can go to entershaolin.com shop. There's t-shirts, tanks, all that good stuff. And if you'd like to get some other bonus training, like our 5 animals training for as little as $10 a month, you can go check out Patreon at entershaolin.com/Patreon. It's Patreon. I will also put a couple of those links in the YouTube chat. It'll also be below the description on the YouTube video as well. So I see a bunch of likes going on, so thank you guys and gals for liking. Really appreciate it. Yep, Andrew, we are in the South Jersey area. We're roughly about 45 minutes from Atlantic City and 45 minutes from Philadelphia.
CT is Connecticut, right?
Yep. So you're in Connecticut.
Connecticut's
awesome.
not that far. I think it's like 4
just let us know,
away.
Andrew, when you do want to come do some training, let us know as far in advance as possible so we can make sure to accommodate you, and email me at support@innershaolin.com or give us a call at 1-8449-KUNG-FU once you do have your travel plans in order so we can schedule you in and get you taken care of. Hey, Kyle, what's up? How you doing? And let's see what other questions we have. Neo, as far as knife defense, when you cannot run, we have some stuff on YouTube as well as some things on our site too for our members as well. So go ahead and check out the ones on YouTube. Did you want to add anything real quick about that, or?
Well, when it comes to a knife, again, everything's based on situation, right? Are you cornered by the corner? Are you near some object? If a guy's got a knife, get a weapon as fast as you can. If you got a belt, create the distance, like talk to him first and try to get that belt off and use it as a weapon to create distance. Get preemptive strike, but he's holding it in your face and threaten it. Kick him in the knee or jab him in the throat or the eyes real fast. Eyes are very effective, throats are very effective if you know how to hit right. Again, it comes down to the situation. If a guy has a knife and he's attacking out of nowhere, well, if you're not ready, you're most likely going to get stabbed. When a knife comes and you're not standing there, like anyone can walk down the street. If she's walking by me, and all of a sudden we're like, I to punch her, and she's not ready, she's gonna get hit. The first weapon you have is always your brain, so you have to assess the situation. It doesn't just come out like you're walking, all of a sudden a guy just appeared in front of you with a knife coming at you. It builds up, right? So you're walking down the street, a guy might walk in front of you, you sense it, like, whoa, what's going on? So you step back. When I was in college, I was in that situation. I was walking down to go to this place, and this guy comes out behind this big tree, just turns over and walks. And right away, I'm like, wait, that ain't right. Nobody just comes out of a tree and walks towards me. So I slowed down and I stepped backwards as he got closer to me. And he looked at me and said, hey, he called me. I forget what he named called me, but it's like Fred or Dave or whatever he called me. And he pretended like I knew him, And I stepped back. I watched my surroundings. And I kept a certain space so he could not get near me. And if he had a knife, I kept that space enough to where I could see that attack from far away. Or if I could run away. I have enough space to get away. At no time are you not able to get away. The only time I say you can't get away is like, let's say you have your wife and your baby in a stroller. Obviously, you can't get away fast enough. There's just no way. But have your cell phone in your hand, hold that tight, use the corner to hit. I was teaching some women this, you got a cell phone. Most people have cell phones, and a lot of times they can hold it in their hands. So if I have a cell phone like this, I'd be like, look, I don't want any problems, and I have this. And this is a great little weapon here, because if she had a knife in her hand, I could go like, bow, and use this, just hit with the corner and break that hand real fast. Or I can use it as a weapon again and go like here, and go wham towards her throat and jam that in her throat. By the corner, by the sides, a weapon. You have keys, same thing. Most people have keyless entries now, so it's not as much common anymore. People have this little, what do you call that?
Little key fobs.
Fobs, yeah. But most people have cell phones. So use that cell phone, like, look, I don't want any problems. Look, I have it in my hand, I have it set, I have it ready. I don't show that I have intent to use harm because nobody thinks the cell phone is a weapon. But I hold it here, I have this corner here. She puts that knife in my face, and I could use this right here, this corner, just wham, and bang. And this is harder than my bones. And so, yeah, she's going to feel that. And this is going to break her arm before it breaks my cell phone. So,
and if it breaks your cell phone and saves your life, who cares about the cell phone?
Exactly. But, use your brains and cower down. I don't want any trouble. I don't want any trouble. Tighten it so he cannot really attack you from a certain side. He sees an open like your stomach here. And I have my cow. Bah! Oh, sorry. But I just move back. I whack that when it comes.
I should make Hersey come up here and do this.
Just
his wrist can get hit.
That quick hit. And then, like I said, using circular motion, she comes at me. Just come out like, I could use bam, bam, bam. And I could use a circular motion to create the strike. From the arm to the face again. Because once I strike that arm and I hit that, their arm goes backwards quick. And they more likely drop, especially if I hit along the metacarpals here.
I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's actually a red line right here.
And that was a tap. That wasn't even
It's not even bleeding. This is like an internal. It's like underneath the skin.
But if you do that right, like I said, I cower down. I turn into a side so it makes it so the stomach looks open. Like, please, please, please. and I'm sitting back, giving the space, and I have this tight, ready to spring, ready to strike. I'm closing into this. I show no signs that I'm going to resist, okay? And if they're like, just put it in your face, because most people, unless they want to kill you, they use it as a deterrent. They use it to put you in submission because they want you to be afraid. So they'll show that to you. That's why a lot of people, give me your money, punk. They show the gun, they shove it in your face because they want to show the threat that they can hurt you with it very, very easily. And so wait for the opportunity. Please, please, please. And I talked about it before. If someone wants your money, give them your money. It's not worth it. Now, if you're thinking that he's going to try and harm you, like you have that belief that he looks like he's crazy, and then, I could be like, she asked for my money, right? I'd be like, please, please don't hurt me. And she's asking for my money.
Can I get your money? Come on.
She has the knife too.
Oh, I got a knife too. Okay.
Just pretend the knife. So look, watch.
Yo,
I can go like
money.
this.
What's
Please,
up?
please don't take it. See this? So I can do like this, and I can be like, she wants my money, right? But please, take it. So you see what I'm doing? Please, take it. I controlled her. I made her reach for a point and even look at it. I could go like, please, take it. Just boom. Now I made her cross her arm.
I was going to say, I think the lower one would be better because then I have less chance I'm going to go like that.
That to where your skill level is, But again, I can make it here, take it, and then go, and like I could throw it in her face. I could be like, please.
Yeah.
I'm in this position. Please take it, and get the kick in there towards her knees and just drop her like a stone. And again, I'm in control of that. Again, your brain's the first weapon. You see how I can manipulate her by just putting the money where I want it. I can make her eyes look up, to the right, to the left, down, cross her arms if she has it. Now, if she's good, she'll be like, throw it on the floor and get out. Like, no, fine, go, take the money. I got $20, go, I'll run. It's not worth risking your life for. But again, you have to assess the situation. If you feel like they're going to kill you, do what you got to do. Yep. I can bring her arms, cross it over. And again, if I had a cell phone, please take it. I can hold it this way, have it cross her arm, then like get her, bam, and then go for the hit right after.
And I put my arm back out again. No.
that again, everything is always based on the situation. You have to assess it. There's no one answer saying this is how it is because everybody's different. And so, but use your brains, concentrate on the control of your mind, your body. Cower yourself down, give them the signs that you don't want to fight. Bring it, now tighten your body, keep arms tight. So even if they did try to cut you, you'd rather them hit your arm than they hit your body. Okay, because obviously these organs, they stab you, you're going to die. The arms, you can live, you get cut, so what? It's not a big deal. Your arms can get cut and you'll still live.
So Nia wants to know if we have any students in Germany. I know we do have some. I don't know how many or where they're located, but I know I've talked to a few students that are over in Germany. And he also said, could you please stop slapping the girl that he wants to marry? Thanks.
Done. I won't slap her.
Well, like hitting me with a cell phone. We have one other question. Richie says, how would you use deflect, parry, and punch?
As a Tai Chi application, there's several applications depending on the if you're grappling or counter strike. So Hershey could come here. So one of the common thing in deflect, parry, punch is on a grappling situation. You can see when I go like this and I go up like this is deflect, parry, punch. If he grabs my arm, the deflect, parry, punch is like this, and so it's like that. So it's designed to pop the arm up, the other one hits it, it just breaks it off the side, and then I can come in for the punch. So this is the deflect, parry, punch when you go like this here, like this, here. So he's punching me. I could take it to her side and then pull him in and create the punch from that. That's this part, like I said, here. The rise up and the turn is that. So like I said, he punches me. I could create the turn. I want to intercept the arm here. I want to hit the arm to help create the pull from that. So as he's punching me, I want to step to the side and go right on in and create that hit. My leg comes forward, so it does bash his leg if you have that weight forward. So you can see I can come in and hit, but I also create that hit into the leg too. So I'm using that shift in the hit to create the disruption for him to go forward and coming at me. Okay, and again, the small movements that you see, if he grabs, like I said, this is designed to anti-grapple, so you can learn how to turn that. Again, there's a small movement. Now, there's big range. We always practice with the big ranges, so you get used to being at the high range. But you're going through the small range. You just have to learn to control that at a smaller range. But that's what deflect, parry, punch does. He can punch me. Deflect, parry, punch could just be like this and just go right in. So you can see I can just cut like this. So he's boom, boom, boom. So now I'm using that. So if he's throwing like a punch here, I can go like this. He punches me again. I can use that. So again, this is like he punches. I can go like this here. He punches again. So boom. So now you can see here, here. That's the final blow of the deflect parry punch, right? You go like this, here, 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 here. So all these sequential movements are designed to more or less handle different situations, but the control is still the same. He punches me like this. Here's one, punches me again. Here's the two. So when I do like this, 1, 2. That's he punches me, punch, 1, 2. So here, and you can see the punch comes out, boom, 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 and now I have that set. So I have that power to drive. So if I tap him real lightly like this, don't move if you can. I go like this, like you see how I threw my body? That's not the control. In the form, you teach yourself to go here. So when I do like this, you can see he'll move. And I'm throwing actually lighter energy, just better focused. And he can feel the difference. Because one pierces, the other compresses. And it may not look powerful, but just think, if I stabbed him with a knife like this, did that look like I was throwing a lot of energy? But if I hit him with a knife, what do you think would happen? Same thing when we hit. We hit with focus. So when we hit, and that's why you learn how to rotate your wrist. Because these rotations, if he's punching me, this rotation is that power. So I'm learning how to hit with power. So as he's punching me, I'm learning how to go. And so when I hit, so I use his body. I keep it light as I can, but just he can feel that internal hit. And you see, I don't have to throw a lot. I just have to focus a lot. Now, obviously, higher speed with better focus gives you more power, not more committed energy. That usually takes away focus. Okay, so if you can keep a committed energy but keep the focus, it's good. But the more energy you commit, the more unfocused you become. It's very, very hard to handle that. Okay, so you want to keep the focus right. You want to keep the acceleration right. And so that's the deflect parry punch. That's some of the application that you have. Deflect parry punch can be like this too on the double grab. So in the form here, you see? So I can go like this in the form, you see? So I can do this. So I can make that movement. So I cut up, I rotate one. So even, I'm not trying to break grip, I'm trying to take grip. I always like to tell my students, hold me tight. I'm not trying to get him off me. I actually want to get into him. So you can see his hands fly away because I put the pressure into him. I didn't try to get the pressure off. I'm not trying to defend. You know how, grab me so tight. So people do this and they'll see what I'm doing is I'm getting away. Here I put it into him. You see how his shoulders go up? I brought it into him. And when I bring it into him, I can now create those movements. So I'm creating that forward intent all the time. Whether it's Wing Chun, Tai Chi, it should be the same because energy is still energy, right? Whatever you want to call it. You can call it duck, duck, goose if you want. I don't care. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change energy as long as you do it right. So concentrate on the energy. No matter whether you do Wing Chun, Tai Chi, thank you. Whether you do Wing Chun, whether you do Tai Chi, whether you do karate, whether you do jiu-jitsu, it's all about the energy. That's what it comes down to. Okay? I can say I do jiu-jitsu and do NDN jiu-jitsu. I can say I can do karate, I do NDN karate. Doesn't matter. I do NDN whatever. I'm the adjective that describes every noun.
Speaking of styles, Freddie says, Sifu, what's the best style of Kung Fu in your opinion?
Well, it depends. Like I said, I think the ultimate style is Tai Chi, but the negative side is it's very hard to get to. It's very hard to learn.
Right, it takes a lot longer.
So there's always positive and negative. Wing Chun is very fast to learn, but today's Wing Chun is not as competent because people train Wing Chun to Wing Chun. You've got to go and deal with hook punches. You got to deal with uppercuts. You got to deal with grappling or anti-grappling type of techniques. Most Wing Chun plays just concentrate and chi sao, so that's where they become limited, and they're playing just for sticking, and sticking cannot be the key because most people will not stick unless they're a grappler. They'll try to stick them, but when you play a striker, you got to learn how to do Wing Chun boxing. You know, Chinese always call it Chinese boxing. There's, you know, just like America, we call it boxing. There's boxing. You want to do Shaolin boxing, not sticking boxing or sticking to hands. They don't work because sticking requires the person to stay. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay tight, and I'm not going to get away from you. That's the agreement you have to have. Okay. Boxers don't like to stick. MMA guys, unless they're grappling you, they don't want to stick when they strike. So you have to learn how to handle that. And you can't handle Wing Chun. Most Wing Chun are made to fight Wing Chun. That's the problem today.
To be adaptable.
They don't really practice against, and I'm not saying for all schools, I'm saying most schools, who especially the ones who train just for Wing Chun schools. They don't fight anybody outside the Wing Chun schools. Like they'll go to another Wing Chun school, fight to another Wing Chun, and they're all learning the same thing, which is why, like I talked about, I think last week we talked about it, why Tandar fails on a hook punch. Okay, but in Wing Chun schools, they always exceed the hook punch. They're like, why is it works here, but I can't, when a guy can punch me really hard and I can still stop it, but when a boxer punches me, I get hit in the face. It's because there's a difference. Most Wing Chun, when they throw a hook punch, they throw a hook punch with the elbow down, a boxer throws with the elbow up. And so they learn to adapt the hook punch with the elbow down, and it works, and it does work. It does work very, very well to do a tandar with the elbow punch going down. But when a guy's, it doesn't work well at all. It actually goes the opposite, where it works really, really badly. So you have to learn how to adapt. And again, we always talk about the wrist control. Everybody does it from the, like Wing Chun talks about the elbow. You gotta get from the elbow, gotta get from the elbow to the hand, get a hand. It's not to the hand, it's to the wrist. And if it's not to the wrist, it's no good. A lot of people say to the wrist, but then they bring it to the fingers. They'll do a tandar and they throw it out to the fingers. It's not to the fingers, it's to the wrist. And that's a mistake. And I say, well, I'm going to my wrist. Like, no, you're not. You're going through your wrist, not going to your wrist. You're going from the elbow to the wrist, from the wrist to the fingers. It's supposed to be from the elbow to the wrist and the fingers to the wrist. And that's the mistake. And that's the common mistake people make. You got to keep it in the wrist and control it from the wrist. That's where the adaptability comes from. People go from the wrist to the fingers, and they don't realize it because they go, well, I'm going to my wrist. No, you're not in your wrist. You're going through it, and that's wrong.
Right on. So there's not just one best style. Every style has its merit, and that's why we don't just teach one style here.
What's our motto?
Shaolin.
What's our NDN motto?
Don't let style define you, let energy refine you.
There you go.
That's why we have that motto. So one more question before we wrap it up. We got Viola Me says, I'm just starting Tai Chi. I found a teacher that teaches the martial arts aspect of it, and I wanted to ask, what tips would you give for a beginner creating a workout routine?
Well, again, it depends on the teacher, but the first thing you want to do is find your foundation, your root, and then learn how to project energy forward towards your wrist. I teach this all the time. If you're not getting that energy out to your wrist, then you're really, really kind of wasting your time. You're going to muscle through everything. You should be able to handle pressure, for example, in the very beginning of Tai Chi. If you can't do this right, then you're not getting your energy right. And more likely, the whole Tai Chi will probably be off. Because if you're off in the beginning, you're not going to be right in the end. It's like building a building with the first frame tilted this way, and you calibrate everything off of that. It's just going to be bad. You got to calibrate on the right first. If it's upright first, then you can build everything off of that, and it'll work well. But if it's off and you calibrate based on that, then it's no good. It's the same thing if you can't do the very beginning this way, then more than likely you're going to fail every other part of your Tai Chi. So what I mean by that is, Hershey would come, I would demonstrate no pain on me, but just on him. No. But like in the very beginning of the Tai Chi, right? Every style pretty much opens up like this, right? So one way or another, they open up their posture, so they'll open like this. So one way or another, whether they do it for the turn, I don't care about the feet really right now. But if I were to have him do this, and he holds my wrist, and I go like this, and I try to do the very open, and I'm like, don't let me do it. And I cannot get my hands up because he's holding it. Don't let me do it. So you can see, I now I'm able to do it, okay? And he's not letting me. I'm telling him not to let me. It's not because he's giving in to me. I'm telling him not to. Don't give in to me. But you can see the difference because I'm not projecting energy to my hands. Don't do it. Now watch. I'm going to fight him. Don't let me do it. I'm not going to tell him when I'm going to do it. I'm just going to do it. But you see how he's going backwards because now I'm getting forward intent. I'm getting the energy out to my wrist. We talked about it. I don't know if you were watching from the very beginning or not, but we talked about getting the energy in the wrist. You have to get energy to your wrist. And you have to manipulate the energy through your wrist, okay? If you're not able to do this, and again, as a beginner, don't have the guy fight with all his strength. All I do is I do this, finger and thumb is enough, and I just stand like this in a horse stance. Can you bring your hands up? So he brought it up, but he also went backwards, which says that he didn't have forward intent. His elbow collapsed. He's not supposed to. He's supposed to bring it forward and move me back. And as he gets it better and better, I can actually create more resistance, which says that under higher pressure, is he still performing properly? You see yourself going backwards. So you see, and the harder pressure I give him, now you can see it's like half on, half off. So, and that means that what happens is the higher pressure I give, it shows you where his weakest point is. Like you can see his elbow collapse, which means he doesn't have a strong base drive. Okay, which then says that he's not doing the through-proof the way he's supposed to do it. And again, that's the whole point. Like, as you get comfortable, you're supposed to be able to take anyone's grip, really, unless they're counter-torquing. That's different. I'm talking about strength-wise. You should take anybody's hands when they're holding you like this, and just be able to just bring it up in front of you, and have no problem. If you are like this, and you go backwards, you don't have a base. You don't have your forward intent. And you're not turning your wrist. You're throwing your shoulders to your hand. That's the common thing, which is why you can see him go backwards, because he's not driving from the base, he's driving from his weight. And for every action, there's an opposite reaction. So the pressure is greater than his
lean forward, which is why he's knocking backwards. Okay? But it shouldn't be a strain. It shouldn't be like, do it. Yeah, I did it. Oh, that was good. I can't do it again. Give me time to rest. Like, it shouldn't be like that. I should be able to do this 1,000 times and not get tired. Okay? Because it shouldn't be you muscling to get the energy right. You should control the energy, not force the energy. So if you're doing it right, you should be able to do this no matter what. Unless he's counter-torquing. Okay? Unless he's trying to steer you. He's supposed to just hold you there, not do it. Go do it. Like, that's not what we're talking about. That's skill beyond a skill, okay? That's you knowing how to create the energy right while manipulating force at the same time in motion. Right now, all you want to do is just hold it. He's supposed to be able to do this while you're holding it, not moving it. So, and you can see now he's able to move me, okay? Now, I did it with a finger and a thumb. Now, as you get better, you can get more grip and it's more resistance on him, which says that is he's doing the right pressure, higher resistance? Yeah, now he's doing it right. Now he's thinking of the base and driving the energy and going to the wrist. So this is the one thing that you want to get down. Thanks, first. The one thing that you want to get down first if you're going to do Tai Chi. If you can't get that down, more than likely your Tai Chi is going to go off. That's the fundamental basis of getting the energy out to the wrist. You should be able to stand a horse stance and move the guy backwards while he's holding your wrist. If you cannot, then you're going back to the shoulders. You're not getting through proof the way you're supposed to. If you have a good teacher, he should be able to correct you on that. And he should be able to do it too. And you hold him, and he should be able to do it. Now, if he's straining to do it, he's not doing it right. He's muscling through you. That means you just grab him tighter, 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 harder and harder, and you'll find that he won't be able to do it if he's not doing it the right way. If he's going to do it right, you can lean, you can just put all your weight, and you'll still go backwards. If you notice when I did, his shoulders always go up. I fed the energy back to him, not against him, and that's what you got to learn to get. So if you're a beginner Tai Chi, make sure that that's really the point in which you want to get down first. Okay, stand a horse stance. Don't take a step forward and throw your weight. You should be able to move him backwards and not feel like you have to fall backwards or fall forward. If you're falling forward, you're leaning, you're using your weight against him. If you're falling backwards, you're pushing against his pressure. You're not converting it and driving through your wrist to manipulate through the wrist. So just make sure you get that done right.
There you go. Let's see. Earl says, in my opinion, there's no such thing as the best martial arts. Absolutely, your martial art is only as good as your ability to apply it. And
but I have to say, technique can make the difference, okay? Because you could take the world's best car driver, put him in a car that's clunky and junky, and take an average car driver and put him in a very, very fast car. Still, the fast car driver is not going to win against the average. So technique can make the difference, okay? It is up to the fighter. Don't get me wrong. The fight matters, but the skill can make you even better. The technique behind what you do can make you better. And that's what martial arts, it's not just the fighter alone. The technique behind the fighter can make the difference. Because like I said, we talk about technique. There's technique where you can manipulate energy, and there's technique where you can muscle through the energy. And we don't want to try and muscle through the energy. Because obviously when you're 120 pounds and you're going against a 220-pound guy, you need to make sure that your technique is right, refined, that you can manipulate his energy, not fight against his strength. So you gotta have skill behind you. Like I heard this in one of the shows. You can take the world's smartest chicken and put him in a little cage with the dumbest lion, and you can have instant nuggets. Okay, there is a degree in which technique matters. Okay, the size, strength do matter. It doesn't matter how much you think you are. You got to get that technique out. And you got to make the difference through it. The fighter does make a difference, but technique makes the difference for the fighter.
Right on, right on. And Russell said, caught the last 20 minutes today while in the woods. Great webinar. Thank you so much. And I thank you for all of us joining. We really appreciate it. For us, thank you so much for information. And Errol says, absolutely, I agree. So thank you guys and gals for joining us. We really appreciate having you. And if you haven't already, like and share this video on. And if you did catch the end of it, the replay will be up on Facebook and YouTube shortly, so you'll be able to catch the whole thing. And other than that, have an awesome weekend. We love you guys and gals. If you need any help between now and next week, email us at support@Shaolin.com or give us a call at 1-844-9-KUNG-FU.
And Neo 1, I did have dreams where it wasn't my punch was soft. I had dreams where my punch was very powerful, and the guy ate it and took it like it was nothing. I was like, crap, what am I going to do? In my dream, I'm like, I got to grapple. I got to go in because I can't hurt him by the strike, so I have to go and seal him up. And that was in my dream, like, I can't hurt this guy. He's just so tough. I would just go in. I gotta wrap him up because I can't strike him to hurt him, so I got to get that lock in somewhere. And in my dream, I lock him out.
Sounds interesting.
Right.
I did have those dreams before, yes. But it wasn't because I was weak. It's the guy was that tough. He was like Superman.
It was the
Like,
opposite.
where's my kryptonite? Must be here. I must lock him. It's my only way.
We should do a dream analysis of that one and Neo's one on the next webinar, just maybe. All right, family, we love you. Have a good weekend. Bye for now.
Bye.